production of the Nutcracker Ballet incorporates community members in all facets of the performance, including production, scenery, costuming, detailing, ushering, and casting. And whereas this year, the costuming, choreography, and scenery, combined with over 100 child dancers, will set the stage for a memorable and entertaining family holiday tradition. Now, therefore, I, C. Kim Bracey, Mayor of the City of York, do hereby proclaim the week of December the 9th through December the 15th as the week of the Nutcracker.
No, you can't do that. How's that?
Good.
Is that good?
What I saw in Ella and Rachel is their work ethic and their love and passion for ballet. They trained daily and they worked really, really hard for so many years, and it was just their year. Young dancers are the focus this year because it's my artistic vision. That's how it unfolded. One year I will watch the Nutcracker and I take notes each year, and I decided last year that this year the Claras were going to be the youngest ever.
Well, I always loved dancing, and I started dancing when I was 3, and it just came to me, and it was really fun, and I just continued to do it, and it started growing on me.
Dance, and I've loved every second of it. I think it's extremely exciting. I'm just kind of nervous because I hope that the Nutcracker goes well so I don't disappoint anyone.
Love in the building. See everybody over here hugged up and stuff. I'm not like True. I ain't gonna hate on y'all like to your face. That was probably well. But it's dedicated to all the lovers and those who aren't in love. You know what I'm saying? The relationships that go well, the relationships that suck. It's called Love Is. Bear with us. What's up on the shore in relationship? a jealous God. Its emotions are boiling pots, bubbling till I bust. In theory, it's beauty hard shell candy. So a pretty cover up. Mistake with me, needy. Selfless personal issues I wish I thought of. We make love with broken hearts when it's crushed. The addiction is a drug, and adrenaline rush. Look at us, creeps and habits. Take it off for granted. Never any love lost, maybe. We just been addicts. Maybe we just been addicts.
Love is patient, love is kind, love is shit, hate is raping on my mind. Oh, I like, oh, I like, secrets in your love, trouble, love really love Let's take a shot, let's take a shot, love is
This is how I write every day and every night. I give you what you see, and if I need it, I will cite. These are not my poems, these are my thoughts given some light. As long as you can call them what you like. Like, if you're feeling blue and you need you a hug, I've got the perfect drug. You don't have to be sick, just give us a call. 1-800, you could have them all, you could have them all, you could have them all. Call right now and get half off on the last cough that you will ever have. This is for your first time callers only, a special on an elixir that will cure you of your lonelies. We'll even throw in a free pony as well. Hell. Just for a limited time, we'll whisk away your lines. Watch as we genetically redefine more human than human, more human than human. Hey, you, man. Do you ever want to be a girl, live in a material world? You could have all those diamonds and pearls. Be more concerned with the bounce in your curl than the poor or the righteous or the teachers. We got preachers, Pakistan, and politicians got you wishing they'd make a drug to let this all go away. Can't stand the news, so we just sit through drama. Some kid cussing out their mama, sexing their sister, settling for less of a life. Can't seem to make that shit right, so they'll just sell it at the Coliseum and watch Spartacus part your lust so you can feel it spray like the point of impact, but it doesn't shatter our chains, leaves our sins intact. So what was once a scratch has now turned into stitches, has turned into black on black crime, and calling our young queens hoes and bitches, boats and hoes. But for a limited time, we've got something to cure you of all your glitches. Debt. Yes, debt will make you feel freer, feel better, and you'll look great. Some side effects may include a broken marriage, bankruptcy, made in America tags being made in Taiwan, your daughter somewhere on a pole in Atlantic City, and a runny nose. But for a limited time, we've got something for those side effects too. Yes, television, or TV as we in the industry affectionately call it, is the ultimate gateway drug to help us provide you with more drug options. Stopping our thoughts, swapping our free will for sex and sport, caught like a deer in headlights, never really works out well for the deer. Your conscience, me no want violence. But when animals attack, stand strong and fight pure. Just selling you disease and selling treatment as a cure. Somewhere in this life, the road is bound to be unsure, but that shit is like bait on a lure. Just say no to red or green pills. Just say no to carbon caps and oil spills. Just say no to stand your ground kills and liars that then squill. And people thinking hip hop's message is only to see and sap a nation's will. Say no to landfills and filibusters. Say no to you know that you love him when it's all about his luster. Say no to everything that is stitched in that tries to give you status and turning your back on other people's sadness. No to everything that distracts you from the you are supposed to love. Because anything less allows them to sell you your own brain hooked on their drugs. Because If you're feeling blue and you need you a hug, I've got the perfect drug. You don't have to be sick, just give us a call. 1-900, we're gonna get you all, we're gonna get you all, we're gonna get you all. We're getting
12 years ago, Harry B. Smith found himself without the love of his life, without his great brand new job, and without the big beautiful house he just purchased. He ended up getting an article on you can use a torch to make blown glass from a buddy whose couch he was sleeping on. Antiquita Glass was born. Now, 12 years later, if you head to 25 East Philadelphia Street, you can see one of the most incredible shops and gallery spaces and workshops and classrooms. In fact, Harry is the last glass blower in the county. In fact, he's been the only glass blower in the county for the last 45 years. Let's go in his workshop and see some of what he does and learn a few secrets of the trade. He's a pretty inspirational guy, and very soon you'll be able to see 2 of his brand new, original, massive full-size sculptures right here on George Street in downtown New York City. Let's go check out Antiquita Glassworks.
9 of us all together in the collective. Everybody from Pat Sells, Matt Schober, Gail Jamieson, Cliff Mayer, Gerald Davidson, myself, Ken Brueggemann, Matt Mitchell. I think I may have named them all. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. Oh, Tim Isaac. That's another one. Tim Isaac. But then in here, this is actually an old York safe. This guy. Yeah, we're going to use this as display, as like a display cabinet. Right now we keep our fire extinguishers in there for upstairs. but yeah, no, we're going to use that as a display area. Eventually put some sort of flooring in here, some sort of top, something, so that we can use it for retail sales, give or take. And then that'll be our office area over there divided off. This is originally part of the York Dispatch newspaper building. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what it originally was.
It's a gorgeous building.
Yeah, this is where they made their payments. I'm pretty sure they did it right through this little window here, and they kept their money in that big old safe.
Cool.
Yeah, here's where we eventually plan to teach classes, house all kinds of equipment. For right now, I use it probably more than anybody to fire things in this kiln. This is a big old kiln. This thing will go up to about 2,200 degrees. I've had to do some work on it so it can fire what I'm looking to fire. But
now, I did not know that art glass you could actually do in a kiln. I knew for pottery you could use kiln work. Mm-hmm. So how does it not just melt and liquefy the glass? What do you need a kiln for? It
does, actually. That's what you use it for. Yeah. Well, you can use it for everything from as low as firing on enamels and paint to something as high as casting glass, which is around 2,100, 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit or so. Yeah. I use it primarily for what's called slumping, or basically draping glass, where I melt it down over top of a form, or I melt it into a mold. I'll use that a lot of times for something this size, or to what I call flat cast, where I crush up glass into a crushed state, lay it in a mold, and then it all goes flat in the mold with heat and time. That's right. We're going to turn one of them into a cooler for our courtyard out here for our gallery. The top one, our kiln cooler. It's going to be called the beer kiln. That's the top one, because that one's shot. The body's so bad. That one still has some life in it, and that thing will go up to 2,600 degrees. So that's the highest fire kiln I have in the shop, and that'll do porcelain. So that's why I got it too, because I specialized in ceramics in high school. In fact, I won my senior art show in the ceramics division with naturally ceramics. So that's something that I like to incorporate into my work, but I don't often get to do it because I'm running the repurpose program, I'm blowing the glass, I'm teaching, I'm doing different things. So just only so much I can get done. It's about 6,000 bottles or so underneath us here.
Wow. How did the bottle focus get started? I mean, obviously it's a great source of glass that people are not using and doing anything with. Right. But you've created a whole art form out of repurposing glass bottles. Yeah, well, it's funny. It's kind of like people say, you're a glass blower, how'd you ever get into bottles? And you have to look at it the other way around. I actually got, as a kid, I'd love to dig up glass, love to find bottles, rocks, that's another thing. I can't cut rocks and make them into much, so I was fascinated with bottles as a kid. I used to dig for them in a dump. It was on a farmer's property near our house growing up. So as I got older, I had a fascination with glass, didn't know very much about it. So then finally, I had the opportunity to learn glass and blow glass, so I already had a love for finding it and using it, so that's how glass blowing in my life came about. The chandelier
The base of it is a early 1900s wood pulley. They used them. It's an inline shaft pulley is what it is. We used to run cloth belts around them to run machinery in some of the old mills and factories and places like that. And for a lot of years they used cast iron early on, but then they figured out to use layered maple in a round segment. All of it, little pieces. They figured out that it was more lightweight to change out wheels when they had to change it to do different applications and things like that. So, long story short, they were tearing a garage down back here. I knew some of the guys tearing a garage down. They said, hey, you can take anything you want inside. There's some old wheels, they said, in there. You want to check them out? Well, of course, me, the repurposed guy, I'm going to go check it out. So, yeah, sure enough, I got about 4 or 5 of them. The littler one was down on my bench when we saw earlier. This one had to become a piece of lighting. I took one look at this one and said, it's lighting. I didn't clean up the wheel very much. I more or less knocked all the dirt off and just wiped it down real good. I love the rough look of it. So everything in that chandelier, aside of the light bulb, is repurposed. Even the wiring is repurposed. Yeah, it has everything from a welding spool in it to those coils that hang down that look like springs. Those are actually overhead gantry wire from a railroad. It was the electrical conductive wire. It's a gantry wire from a railroad that ran electric trains down by Susquehanna River. We had a line on our side that ran electric. But I took that, hand coiled them around a form that I had, and then those glass elements, they're both bottles. One side sandblasted and the other side's just clear. And it all hangs from chain that's repurposed as well. The small chain is from a dog lead from that very same place that I got the wheel from. And then the chain, the big chain that supports it, the whole weight of everything, that's off of a front end loader that I used to drive as a part-time job when I first had the business. I worked at a farm equipment supply place, and I drove a boom, front end, backhoe with a boom on it. And I tried to pick up something way too heavy one day, and I just snapped the old chain that was on it. I kept it all these years. It's probably been 8-10 years since I worked there, but I kept it. And first chain I thought of when I made this chandelier was that chain, because the rest of the chain was rusty, so I said that'll match well. This is the hot working section of my shop, as in this is where I melt glass. Yeah, because there's so many products you can make out of glass, just breaking it down minorly. Like I could one time I think I did a ratio of that. In 1 hour I can cut 5 pounds of glass that you could use in stained glass work. I'm even trying to find uses for the parts and pieces, and there's even products I've developed where you can crush it up and use it as well. But time tells with all of that, because it takes such a long time to develop things and move them forward, especially in something as broad as this, that it's one step at a time. We're, I guess, 2.5 years in now. It's a 5-year program, and we're dead on schedule. But the end result is hopefully using up 5 to 10% of all of our bottles in this county and making 22 to 24 different products out of them, including what I make as far as drinkware and the usable day-to-day utilitarian stuff. Yeah. This is my shop cat, Smokey. He's the highest in tenure of any of the workers I got. Oh, nice. Right now I have customer orders on here. This is going to actually be a lamp at some point. Right, like that. I'm gonna sandblast this, fill this with crushed glass, nails, all kinds of neat stuff, and then this goes on top just like a lampshade. I just took the hardware out of the bottom there so I could get so I don't have to drill any holes. So yeah, I get parts and pieces from all kinds of places. I have some of the coolest customers. They bring me some of the neatest stuff. This actually is from Rudy Art Glass next door. They use mixers to mix their color in, and this is one that burned out and was no good, so I just took the hardware out and I thought, I'm going to do something with that. Well, finally, it's going to be a lampshade. So that's something I'm working on. That's another pulley wheel that I have. It's like the one upstairs. I'm trying to think of what I want to do with it. It originally was going to be the chandelier base for this guy to hang out at the bottom. But in the process of doing that, I came up with this, liked it better, and now that's still sitting here, but I want to do something else with it.
It's going to be something.
I might make seats out of them, might make tabletop out of them, I'm not sure yet. That's all kinds of repurposed parts and pieces that I use in different things, like corks, caps, things like that.
I love all the corks.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I got even more than those. I got 5-gallon buckets full of them in the back. This is something I'm finishing up. It's kind of dusty, but I've been working on it much, but it's actually an aquarium.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
it's an old pump. Here, I'll get that fur off of there. It's an old pump housing. Now, this thing's probably been sitting 2 months, and like I said, it's dusty as anything down here, but what it's going to be is I cut the top out of this. There's lighting that goes, actually the hardware goes up in here, comes out a little side chute where it used to pump water, and it lights this up inside, and the inside's getting polished so it'll reflect all the light straight up into this.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm working on what stopped me was I've been working on the air system for it so that it can be used for any fish, not just betta fish.
Right.
Yeah, and this is where you put the little fish feeder thingy at some point. But yeah, actually I ought to put this back over on the bench because I do want to finish this. Yeah, and this is, like I said, this is where I do all my hot working over here. Now this is where I do some of my glass blowing. I do everything from torch working to furnace working. I haven't been glass blowing quite as much, so probably
What's the
it's pretty
difference
dusty over
between
here.
torch working and furnace working?
Well, torch working, these are typically called either lamps or torches. And these guys have pressurized oxygen, propane that goes to them. And basically that's torch working. Whenever you use a torch for your heat source, that's torch working. Now furnace working is when you use a big stand-up port with a crucible and what they call an annealing kiln, like these guys, but preferably bigger because you're using a bigger scale. And what you do is, of course, you dip in, get a punny full of molten glass, you put it in the furnace port, spin it, bring it out, blow it, do whatever you got to do, detach it, and then you put it in the annealer. So that's that process, and that's called furnace working. Yep, this is torch working, and then that's furnace working. And then if I just use, like we were talking about upstairs, like a kiln, and what I'm going to show you today when I cut glass, when I put this in here, then that's kiln working. That's what they call that. There's only so many. There's cold working, like I do with the bottles, where I cut, grind, and polish them with abrasives. That's cold working. Then this is hot working, but it's kiln working, torch working, and furnace working. So yeah, you break it down to what you do. So in the industry, you can communicate about what it is you're up to. So yeah. Me as an artist, there'll never be any greater production that I create other than a child. But second to that, of course, is my work. And to be able to put my work on the streets of my hometown as a 5th generation maker and probably 9th generation or so York County, and that's just everything to me. You know, I mean, it's like having it's like being able to build your own baby and put it on the sidewalk and have everybody go and say hi to it and get their pictures taken with it or sit on it, which you don't usually do to a baby, but you know what I'm saying. That's what thrills me, is being able to put that stuff on the street. That's so cool. And then of course this opens the door for me to do more public art nationally, on a larger scale, for more money, larger projects. That's what I've been gunning for. So it's 12 years in. I think it's time I start towards that path. I find last 2 months my career seems to be changing a bit, and over the last 2 years it's drastically just kind of turned around, but there's a lot of factors in that. And yeah, Rudy's a big factor in that. I have a lot of friends and people that help me, and a lot of great customers. So yeah, it's hard for me to fail with all the good people I got. So yeah. This is a secondary cut from what I do. This is actually, I took the top off for a shot glass. The bottom of this was a highball tumbler, a piece of drinkware from Belvedere Vodka. That's what that was. This is the section from it that we really don't have a use for. Now, I make bracelets out of it where I cut it right here, but of course we do that on a saw. What I'm going to do today is take it, slice it up, get it so that I can cut it almost in a flat sheet form, and then lay it up on kiln shelves and see if I can't flatten it out and make jewelry out of it, basically. So that's what I'm doing. What I'm going to do is score down each side and make it 2 pieces and then go from there. When I cut glass in this method, that's what that's called, scoring. I'm just going to cut it just roughly in half. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right. Oh, might lose a little bit. I threw these in the bin and they crack sometimes. So that's the beauty of it, though. You don't get all the same. Then what I do is I cut it from the reverse side. Now I don't have to cut it from the outside. Now I can take it get past these trees. And I can start getting more precise pieces that won't crack. If I gently put them in the bin, I wouldn't have that problem, but I go through it so fast that it's not that big a deal. These are kind of odd shapes, but maybe I can do something with them. In case you're wondering why I don't wear a glove on my right hand, is because I hate to wear gloves to do anything when I work. So, and plus I can feel the cutter score better when I don't wear a glove on my right hand. But I have paid for that. I sent a piece of glass probably about halfway through, maybe 3/4 of the way through my hand till it hit bone. And that stopped it when I used to cut sheet glass over at Rudy. I cut myself every day. I just always joke with people. I don't know how severely or where. That's the rule when you work with glass. But basically, here are these pieces a while. I'm going to sit down here. Here's some more pieces. This is Van Gogh Double Espresso Vodka. That has a lot of really cool graphics on it. I've got parts and pieces here, probably from different ones by the looks of it. This one's from one of these probably, but these make really cool pendants. You can fire them in a kiln. You don't lose any of that detail. It might change the color just a hair, but that's no big deal. I really like these because you can make a whole set of people. There's so many people on this bottle. You could make a necklace of 5 people picking coffee beans basically, so it'd be pretty cool. But yep, something like this I can see from behind. So what I'm going to want to do, like with this one, I'll predict what I'm going to do instead of just chopping it up. What I want to do is I'm going to try to just get his head and his hat and try to do away with some of that checkering there, but I don't know if I can or not. So I'm going to get down here, go across. Cool. And then I see his face. I'm going to try to just make a cut up along there. This is going to be a tough one. I can get it if I get it just right. A little off course, not bad. Then I'm going to try to go that way, which should be like this. Cool. And then that's basically it. Now I drill a hole in there, and that could be a pendant. I could flatten it out. It could be a piece of mosaic, piece of something for stained glass. The thickness is about right. So yeah, yep, just something detail you can cut out of a piece if you want. Yep. Yep. Made a little bean leaf out of what was a tree on the bottle. Now this I'd like to actually make just look like a tree. Yeah, there's one that looks like a tree. I drill a hole, and I think that would make a really cool pendant, that one. And I can fire it in the kiln face down so that that clear stays on top of it. Or I can fire it the other way around. It's actually on this side, on this surface. Yep, and what I do is I take my pieces. Let's say these were pendants. I'd pre-drill them and put holes in them a while. That way, when they melt flat in the kiln, it makes the hole so that it's smooth and rounded and what's called fire polished. That way you don't have to get it out, drill it, have little flecks and chips in it, and then try to polish that out. You might as well just do it before you fire it. I put them on my kiln shelf. Bring them over here. Put them inside my kiln. Basically, I close the door, set it for about 10 degrees a minute up to 1100. It'll hold there for 10 minutes. From there it'll go to about 1500 degrees, hold for 5 minutes, and what that'll do is take everything and put it flat. Once it beeps at me to open up and it's done that temperature regime I just described, I take the kiln and vent it so that it releases at 1500 degrees and takes it down to 1100 real fast. That stops the glass from melting instantly. And it also prevents what's called vitrification, which, long story short, makes the glass look ugly. So that's what that prevents. So then once you equilibrate that down to about 1100 degrees, and you close the kiln and just let it cool down to about 250, and then you can get out whatever you wanted, and it won't crack on you. You have to cool it down slow, it'll crack. Once it does come out, this is more or less what you're left with. These are a lot like what I just cut up, but that's how it comes out, flat. No longer curved. And it makes it so that you can use it on tabletops, mosaic work, all those kind of things. So it's one of these options where I can use some of my scrap to make new products out of it. Even if it is basic, we can cut so much of this so fast in this form that it would be worth our while to sell it as mosaic or stained glass scrap. It takes some doing as far as what's popular to cut, what looks good, pick your colors, pick your graphics, things like that. But we go through so much, and it's such a simple process. We have so many kilns that it's feasible for us to do. Plus, we can fire these at a shelf that's an inch off the next. I mean, we can fire, I think it's about 10 pounds of glass in one of those kilns in a matter of about an hour and a half, 2 hours, because we can climb real fast with this type. Pendants and those kind of things are going to take a little more abuse, knocking against your body, things like that. So
I'm originally from Puerto Rico, born and raised, half of my life there, the other half around the world, because my father was in the military, so was my grandfather, and so forth. I came to the poetry scene about 13 years ago. Go with me on a mental expedition. Earth has its nations, and every nation has its heavenly predictions, as well as its nation's afflictions. Hip-hop, a lyrical liberation. Freeing the lyrics from the artist's mind for your own interpretations. Lyrical geniuses flow in their own rhythmical compositions. Now, imagine a world with its, a heaven with its own nations. A battle, whether it's scientific or a supernatural creation. A world made by a supernova, or have its own hip-hop crucifixion. Now, hip-hop would be the apple to make you fall into temptation, but don't misinterpret what I said and have a miscommunication. All the hip-hop is not bad, I'm just talking about creation. Hip-hop has no problems with its pigmentation. So the ruler could be white, black, Puerto Rican, or Haitian. So to say that the creator of hip-hop would be of a certain color would be a violation, but coming to an agreement that hip-hop was involved in a minority population. Hip-hop would have more than 12 apostles in it if we were to put hip-hop in its religious personification. And having the Old Testament and now the New with different interpretations, we could call it the lyrical sanctification. Listening to how the words fall into perfect synchronization. Call it the biblical recreation. From the Genesis of the Bible to the Tupacalist revelation. Tupac Stradamus that now lives in our constellation. One of hip-hop's apostles to give an illustration of beautification, assassination, violation, tribulation, regulation, clarification, classification, co-education, sex exploitation, beat modification, justification going from generation to generation. And that's just one of hip-hop's admirations. Not to mention one of hip-hop's greatest devastations, Notorious B.I.G.'s assassination. Through the valley and the shadows of death, these apostles walk in perfect harmonizations. Lyrical lords that have high adorations, worshipped in various congregations, lords that have made it into hip-hop heaven in anticipation. But wait, if there's a heaven for hip-hop, there has to be a damnation. But that would lead this discussion in escalation. So imagine a heaven for hip-hop and its creation. One God, one creator that we thank in appreciation. The creator of hip-hop, and hip-hop heaven would be poetry.
I got into the poetry, thank goodness to Johanny Cepeda. About 3 years ago, we were doing open mics in her venue, and that kind of gave me the release therapy that I needed. So since then, I've been going hard at it and giving up my time to everybody, you know, adults, youngins, the middle, whatever you want to call it. I've been giving my time to everybody because I love to express myself. I feel free, as many of us do. Damn! Lately I feel hated. Is this because of my race? I could have swore we the people put lots of time and focus into this community. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all of us, to make this a better place. I'm tired of this. How does being singled out because of our ethnic backgrounds even make sense? Our families all fought hard to get here and rise. Honestly, if people stopped spreading the negatives and started being more productive, it would all be different. Are people seriously playing this race card? They told me, don't fit into this evil, I try not to. But the justice tie knots too. I've swept, I've cleaned, it's a must, I've got to. They say, give me your back, fall. Don't worry, I got you. When you do the do-gooders job, they try to knock you. I say, forget that, cause I do what I got to. Don't let this bickering and yapping try to stop you, cause we the people, lawyers, doctors, and cops too. All colors, races, and creeds, they plot too. But I write for me. I can't judge you. Welfare, warfare, is any of this fair? But what would we do if any of this wasn't there? Would we be free? Would that make them care? Push, pull, reach, lecture, write, teach, but still leap when I speak? This drain has been cracked, therefore it leaks. My soul is heavy, and that's why it speaks. Spread love, not war. I choose to break free. Hey.
Every sad story is not a love song. Every personal gripe does not make for a change or a cause or a fresh hip-hop single. What artist will get what ringtone deal? What new clothing line would a singer start? What new limited edition sneakers your cop? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when we're fighting each other over the last Poland Spring on the block. Wondering why kids can't spell, do simple math, or draw. Wondering why we're in a line around the block just to get a physical exam, or why we're visiting crazy cousin Johnny in a privatized jail rife with the stink of abuse. It's not about fighting the power this time. It's not about fighting the power this time. It's about finding the power in us. As the globe gets warmer, the poor people get poor, and the paid people get more paid, and the iron gates between them grow taller. And what will we do then? Or is then already here? Will we hit that shuffle button and let the next beat bang? Or will we sip on that caffeinated beverage repped up by the coolest artist holding a can? Will we adjust our hoodies and our new era caps and vaguely remember when we had a chance to make a change? And remember how we flaked. Didn't register to vote, didn't recycle, didn't read up, let alone know what was going on in the world. We sit here in the late breeze nights with frowns etched on our faces. One person has the power to make that change, but when that person's change has the power, that person is assassinated, killing with them and all followers of hopes of change. And now we're living in fear of being assassinated in the same late breeze nights. Strength in numbers, and in numbers we have the power of one. We are the alpha and the omega of change. It begins with us and ends with us, so let's start the change. Thank you.
I kind of do a motivational type deep. My poetry is really deep. You know what I mean? You can see it in my face. I don't smile a lot when I do it because I'm doing what I love and I'm with people that love what I love. So this is what we do. While sitting on a stoop, I realized why most men dream. I've been here before, but never it occurred to me this thing. What triggers you inside? Why robber schemes, or why woman with so much soul expresses itself and sings? Why tragedy, mostly pain it brings, and why this hip-hop has always been a poor man's thing? While sitting on the stoop, I realized why most men dream. There's more sky than earth. It's much bigger than us. Why are we fighting for this man-made object that highlights the words in God we trust, when at the end of it all, he created a sequel into this very ground our bones will crust? And what's the difference between love and lust? As I look around the room and discover the wolves in sheep's clothing, who can I trust? Life's addictions, when you fall, which one will you crutch? While sitting on the stoop, I realize why most men dream. It's not a his or her thing, it's more like for all of us. The beggars, the followers, the leaders, and even those that chose to call on us. The ones who want to change and look up at the sky and show, Lord, please, I've had enough. The gambler, sweat leaves his forehead, wishing he was dealt that different hand. We all want something. What could this be? For me? While sitting on the stoop, I realize why most men dream. It was a hard upbringing, watching them fall. It was painful, hearing their voices but ignoring their calls. Imagining the sunny days but deleting the flaws. Just wanting it to be all over and me, part of that cause. Lifestyles that are rich and famous turn their faces frauds. Why they acting so heinous, blocking us all while being part of no existence. But in my own world, writing my tablets, creating my quotes, living out the true definition of persistence. I've always seen what they can never picture. Scripture after scripture. Could you picture this picture frame with no borders, plain walls? It's been several years since a plane falls, but it's every day my son calls. Papi, can you pick me up? I want to play the game, pause. As the preacher calls to my attention. Son, are you lost? Watching this winter take over, cover the ground frost. Who am I? I'm just a poet. A troubled young man that grew up and now knows this. Lip balm for your chapped lips. I'm poet, and that's just that. I've been mistaken, profiled, and wrongfully accused. It's not just rap. Picture yourself expressing a dream from the breath of your soul with the force of a team while you sitting in your denim jeans. I realized while sitting on the stoop, while most of my life I've dreamed. While sitting on the stoop.
I'm under the impression that you think I'm nobody, that I'm beneath you. I speak with my eyes and touch with my mouth. Sí, así mismo. Hablo con mis ojos y toco con mi boca. My words travel through you and touch you in the most important spots, your mind and your heart. I bring blank pages to life with rhymes, passages in my tunnels every time I grab a mic. I'm a lover, a rapist, a killer, a racist, an actor, a junkie. I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm white, I'm black, I'm gray, I'm day and night. I could bring tears to your eyes and make the dead come back to life, give goosebumps and hives. I can give feelings to things that don't even have nerves. I can give you what you want and what you don't deserve. I am the one lying, the one dying, the one surviving. I am the one crying, just crying to be heard. I captivate you with no beats or hooks, just my words. I bring revolutions, solutions, and evolutions. I create resolutions, and I can make you feel alive. I chisel little by little and break down those walls that separate our minds. I inspire the ones to compose, construct, and design. Create from raw material or mental act and verbally customize lyrical compositions. I'm the reason for verbal abuse, the grim reaper of lyrical misuse. I'm your mental muse who choose to put your mind on cruise with melodic views to knock those words loose. Simply put, I'm a verse, an idea, an artist with a twist. I'm Shakespeare, Allen Ginsberg, and Daniel Higgs, Patricia and Mark Smith. I'm Miguel Piñero, Pedro Pietri, and Miguel Algarín. I'm Mudo and Tupac Shakur and Justin Chin. I'm Che Guevara, Jim Morrison, and Nicky Giovanni. I am Jose Marti, Lolita Lebron, and Umar bin Hassan. I am Bob Dylan and Mumi Abu Jamal. I am under the impression that you think I'm nobody, but I want you to admit that whatever I spit to get you to quit thinking that I am nothing. Yeah, I am what I am and say what I see fit, because I am a poet. We want to thank you for having us.
Yes.
It's a blessing, always. We love what we do, and we love those who invite us to show what we do. So thank you very much. On my part, I just want to say thank you.
He said everything I wanted to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And definitely, like I stated when we first started, I love to be in a room with people that love what I love. Cause I feel whole, I feel in unison with everybody in here. So thank you for taking your time out to listen to us, and thank you for letting us into your home and letting us do what we do. We appreciate y'all. So we're gonna give y'all a round of applause for
beatboxer, drum set player, vocal percussionist, beatboxer in the area. I play with a couple different bands.
seem to matter, hello. Where we build our cage, and all the goats that just got fatter. You know, I tend to be amazed at all the love that I can gather, and when to walk away. It doesn't mean the future's sadder, it only means we're growing every day. And all this change will help us melt away. Paradise in your eyes, and that quiver in your lip, I'd lift you off your feet just for one kiss, just for one kiss. See, that's just how I put my hole in my guitar. You know, I got your text today, and the world seems so much smaller, 'cause it's sometimes hard to say the words that grow us taller. You know, some will limp away to avoid that life of squalor, but I've no time to be afraid. In the name of one more dollar, and once again we'll start a brand new day. And all this change will help us melt away. Paradise in your eyes, and that quiver in your lip. Shake it, baby, shake that thing. I'd lift you off your feet just for one kiss. Just for one kiss. Oh my goodness. And when we're talking, and when we're knowing, and when there's no time for lies, we will know what we know. And paradise in your heart, and that quiver in your lip, I'd lift you off your feet just for one kiss. Just for one kiss. Why don't you guys just kiss already? I let him prowl the streets every day. Well, he resides and he needs his raw meat. He tears apart his friends and all of his family. So, come on, my darling, let me hold you tight. There's a new world and water tonight. There's a full moon rising up in the sky. I'm gonna howl, gonna scratch, turn his in his cage. You should hear him scream, stay away! All day, always. Next to this, oh, come on, my darling, let me hold you tight. There's a new world of making water tonight. There's a full moon rising up in the sky. I'm gonna howl, gonna scratch just to instigate fright. Woo!